Hey folks, this is Abel James, and thanks so much for joining us on Fat Burning Man, where we talk about real food and real results. What happens when a doctor brings his guitar into the chemo room and sings with his patients? My guest this week does exactly that on a regular basis, belting it out in the cancer ward. You may have seen him on NBC's Today Show, and his patients absolutely love it. Today we're here with my good friend Dr. Stephen Eisenberg, the singing oncologist. He's the co-founder of California's largest medical oncology practice, who uses the power of music to help his patients heal. Maybe you can hear it in my voice, but Dr. Eisenberg is just a great dude, and I'm really excited for you to listen to this particular show. Now, before we get to it, if you're interested in changing your brain with music, you might want to check out my first best-selling book called The Musical Brain. I actually started, you might not know this, as a gigging musician when I was 8 years old, so that was my first career. I don't do as many public performances anymore, but it's something very close to my heart, and it's one of the reasons I believe that I'm healthy. If you want to know why music exists, where it came from, and what it does to our brains, check it out. You can just look for Abel James and The Musical Brain on Amazon.com. And if you want to hear the music that I recorded with Denny and the members of the Tim McGraw Band, check out abeljames.com and take a listen to our award-winning album called Swamp Thing. You can also listen for free on YouTube and see some of our music videos. It's on Spotify as well, and SoundCloud. Just search for Abel James and Swamp Thing. You can take a listen. And maybe you're even listening to a few of the jams in the background. If you dig it, check out Abel James and Swamp Thing. Before we get to the interview with Dr. Stephen, I'd like to share a success story that just came in. This one is from Lionisa. She says, "Thanks to the wild diet, my family is healthier, active, and happy. We started our journey on May 15th, 2016 with the Wild Diet 30-Day Challenge. 3 months later, my husband went from 230 pounds to 185 pounds, shirt size from extra large to medium, pants from 38 to 32. He even admitted that he's in better shape now than he was when he was in the U.S. Army. For me, I started at 238 pounds. Now I'm down to 204. I was a size 18 and currently I'm a 14. My doctor took me off metformin, a type 2 diabetes pill, and my blood sugar is normal. Abel, keep up the good work. God bless you and your family. God bless you. Thank you so much for taking some of this information that you've been listening to and reading in the books and putting it into action. The power of nutrition and fitness and lifestyle, as I was discussing before, to transform your health is incredible. Now, a lot of the drugs might treat the symptoms. A lot of prescription medications are built to do that. But when you go to the root cause, when you actually start to change the way that you're living day in, day out, your tiny little habits, that's when things really start to change. You can add years to your life. You have a lot more energy. And I always love it when you guys write in. So if you want to drop me a line, you can find Abel James or Fat Burning Man on social media. And I always love hearing from you. So if you want to get started with the Wild Diet, you can check out my New York Times best-selling book anywhere books are sold. But if you want to get started right now for free from the device you're listening on right now, just type in this web address, fatburningman.com. That's the website for my free blog and a lot of free recipes. You also, when you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get a quick start guide to the Wild Diet with 7 days of meal plans to get you started right now for free. So just go to fatburningman.com, enter your best email address, and we'll fix you right up. All right, on to this very special show with Dr. Stephen Eisenberg. You're about to learn 3 tiny changes you can make in your life right now that will give you a huge advantage in preventing cancer, how patients and doctors can heal each other, the importance of love and empathy in medicine, why oncology is not about dying, it's about living, how imagining yourself skiing in the future helps you build great health habits now, and much more. Let's go hang out with Dr. Stephen. All right, folks, Dr. Stephen Eisenberg is a triple board certified medical doctor, also known as the singing oncologist. Dr. Eisenberg co-writes songs for and with his cancer patients through lyrical life, recently featured on NBC's Today Show. Dr. Stephen, thank you so much for coming on the show today, my friend.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here. It's awesome.
I appreciate you fitting us in between 2 bone marrows, you said. If you're listening to audio, he's in his full oncologist garb right now. I dig it.
Yeah, I do hematology, oncology. So we do some bone marrow biopsies, and we're seeing a revolution in oncology, man. We're being able to treat so many more cancers and cure people. it's a really, really an interesting time in medicine, and especially oncology.
Yeah.
But what I'm really interested in is prevention, and that's where nutrition and health. You got to the best way to deal with cancer is just prevention, man.
Yeah.
You got to prevent.
Right, and so many people fear shark attacks. Right? Well, what is it, like 6 people die from shark attacks a year or something like that? I think you have like your likelihood of dying from falling out of bed is 10 times higher than a shark attack. But when you look at things like cancer, diabetes, these lifestyle conditions that so many of us are destined to get today, that's what we really should be afraid of, right? And so you, day to day in your job, you're seeing it up close and personal. What does it mean to people when they're, diagnosed with cancer? How does that turn things around?
Oh my God, it's like the biggest wake-up call you've ever had in your life. I mean, the first thing I talk to people about is, we're going to deal with it. We can definitely deal with this. It so depends on what stage and where they are and what type of cancer. But I always go back to, we're going to deal with this, and we're going to treat you like a whole person.
Yeah.
You are a unique individual who just happens to have this issue, this bump in the road, I'll call it. And it's a pothole. It's big, but we're going to deal with it, and we're going to treat you, and we're going to get back to who you really are. And then we're going to deal with, how did this come into your life? Did it have anything to do with alcoholism? Like, let's get dirty. Let's get down and dirty and try to make some huge changes moving forward. And that's where, I've recommended people to just come and listen to your stuff because it's so powerful.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. But, this is one of the hardest things that I struggle with is getting people there before they need to be there. Right. And so many of us, we go through a life experience that's terrible, like being diagnosed with cancer. Or for me, it was losing everything in an apartment fire while my health was really beat up in my early 20s. It takes that like reaching rock bottom to kind of then go explore to see how could I live in a better way? Could I actually make some changes to make sure I'm going to be around for longer for my family, for the people I care about? Are there things that I can do? Because a lot of us, I was talking to someone else today. He said when he was younger, as a kid growing up, he didn't know that drinking water was good for you. He just thought, you drink milk, soda, fruit juice, whatever's there. You just drink it. There's no, connection there with what actually happens. And I think so many of us are really missing that. We don't get it in school. Most stuff. We don't get it in medical school either.
Do not get it in medical school.
Yeah.
Now, interesting fact, I worked in a health food store during medical school.
You did?
Everyone else was like, dude, you want some no-dos? We got to cram all night for the test. I'm like, no, I'm good with my ginseng and green tea. Like right. It was a long time ago, but I was like learning about different herbs and all of these nutraceuticals because that's who that's what my parents taught me growing up, that it was you're a whole person. And my rock bottom was I was hit by a car riding a bike when I was 13 and I did like a triple Lindy in the air and bashed my head on the windshield and later that night, like I flatlined in the ICU.
Wow.
And it wasn't until like I made a full recovery, my dad took me aside and he told me, you were gone. And I was only 13, but I remember at that time, and this is the true story, I remember saying to myself, I got a second chance. Mm-hmm. And I wanna do something where I can make people smile and I can give them that opportunity to not die with their music still in them.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to, I didn't know exactly what it would look like or whatever, but I just remember thinking I got a second chance and I got to do something with this life,
Yeah. And look at you now.
Whoa, look at me now.
No, seriously though. And we'll definitely include this on the show notes. But when I first saw that clip of you bringing your guitar into the chemo ward and you start singing with your patients, it melts my heart just thinking about that. It's so unique. And, you know, in the cases when I've been a patient, I've never experienced humility like that, especially from my doctor. So, I mean, why do you do that? How do you do it? And how do people react?
Well, they're always a little shocked at first.
Yeah.
But I call that CPR. You know, I'm shocking them. It's my CPR is compassion, presence, and resilience. Mm-hmm. That's my CPR. So they're a little shocked when nowadays it's funny. They go, "Where's my song?" Like they come in.
They expect it.
But in the beginning, it was really a shock. And I've always loved songwriting. I was like in middle school writing, you know, punk rock songs to REM and The Cure. Nice. And then in medical school, I started writing more and more music. And then oncology, what happened was I got sick. I developed colitis. Mm-hmm. I was so stressed out. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating right. I was going to Taco Bell. And, no offense, Taco Bell, but we can edit
if you want
that
dog food, it's great.
So anyway, I developed colitis and I was sick. I was losing weight and one of my favorite artists named Peter Himmelman had a story writing contest. You would write a story of how Peter's music has impacted you. Huh. So I wrote a story about this song that I loved called Mission of My Soul. And I wrote how his music would lift me up in those middle of the night calls when 4 a.m. you're drawing blood on somebody and you're just exhausted. And I won the contest, and the prize was Peter would write a song about you.
Wow.
And it impacted me so much because he took the story and made the song about how this doctor was, you know, my mission was now giving music and love to people with cancer.
Yeah.
And when I heard my own lyrics that he gave to me, I said, you know what? I got to do this for cancer patients. Mm-hmm. And I never looked back. And then it just was me going out into the chemo ward and doing some spontaneous Adam Sandler-esque kind of funny stuff.
Yeah.
But then it was more, you know, we would sit down and we'd write together. It was a co-creation based mm-hmm. on what moves, touches, and inspires them.
Yeah.
And it was just, it's never about the cancer. It's about what lights them up.
Yeah.
It's a little nudge. It's a little nudge back into who they are. Like you get so caught up in the cancer, obviously, and it's normal to do so. Mm-hmm. But I just want to nudge them into, you got a good chance to beat this. You're going to live your life. I want you to remember who you are. And that you and come from love, a foundation of love. And that's what it's all about. It's just about loving people and connecting to people. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's a song. And for someone else, it's sitting down and Googling next to them. It's listening to something together, looking for research. It could be anything.
Yeah.
But I think it's that co-creation. And you know the power of music more than anyone.
No, I don't know about anyone, but yes, I can definitely attest to the power of music. And I can say this, that it's almost impossible to not have some degree of humility when you're singing, especially if you don't define yourself as a singer. Especially if you're someone who, you know, is getting chemo, for example. When there's humility all around and you're all kind of joining in the song together, that's something that I have been lucky enough to experience more than other people, I think, because I do try to bring that to the party or to the funeral in some cases, right? But yep. and everything in between. But there is something that's so primal, deeply primal about kind of revealing your soft underbelly when you're singing, yes. using your voice, and also putting yourself out there, like you said, with the co-creation idea, with the idea that you're actually creating something real-time, improv with somebody else. That's magic that can completely distract you from whatever you're struggling with at that point, even the biggest struggles you could ever imagine. And I think it's just so wonderful that this is something that you're doing in real life with real people. And not only that, you're showing other people that it can be done.
It can, and it is being done. And I think more and more doctors are embracing why they went into medicine in the first place. You know, I really do this. It heals me, Abel.
Yeah.
It heals me just as much because, you know, 1 out of every 2 doctors is burned out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 50%. And the number one specialty for burnout, internal medicine and family practice.
Yeah.
Internal medicine is what you do before you're an oncologist.
Yeah.
And ER too.
Uh-huh.
1 out of every 2.
Yeah.
And it's because we're just getting caught up in the red tape, and we're just sitting there. We're zombies on our electronic medical records.
Right.
Beep, boop, beep, bop, beep, beep, bop. You know, we're just and so it's about connecting to why we're a doctor. Everyone says, why'd you become a doctor? Because I want to help people. That's the canned response.
Yeah.
But I really think it's because you love people.
Hmm.
And these songs are just reminders that you can love that human being sitting across from you, and you can get to know them without keeping that wall of you must keep the wall, the barrier between you and the patient. You know, that's what saved me. What saved me was that compassion that the patient showed to me when I was burned out. And one of my patients said, "Forget about me. I got a few months to live." Her name was Flavie. She goes, "How are you doing today? You don't look so good, Dr. E. How are you?" And literally, she's dying of lung cancer, stage 4. I go into her hospital room. She asked me how I'm doing. She knew how stressed I was. And she goes, "Let's have a dance." And she was a dancer in Vegas. Yeah. And we had a little dance in her hospital room. And in that moment, I could feel something lifting, some of the stress. And that was another major moment where a stage 4 lung cancer patient cared enough about me, showed compassion for me, my own burnout about creating this mega practice, whatever. And then I said, you know what? This is about love and empathy. That's it for me now. I just want to bring love to whatever I do in medicine, and whatever it looks like, a song or whatever. If I can just make one person smile a little bit, then I can go home that day and feel a little bit like I did something, you know?
Yeah. Well, like you said, most doctors, no fault of their own, it's usually just the profession, are completely sleep deprived stress balls, like you said. But the other side of that, like you said, if you let the walls down, if you really humanize the whole interaction, at some point when everyone around you is literally dying of cancer, isn't that too much for you as a human being to handle emotionally?
Yeah, absolutely. And you need to, I'll speak for me, I need to always, every day, create it. Yeah. Every day, as you know, is a creation. And you know, you gotta, for me, I wake up and I just say, you know, touch some people today. If there's days where I give a lot of good news, and there's days when I'm giving back to back bad news. Yeah. And those are the days where I hug people and I give them a little rub on the back, and we hug each other and we cry a little together. But then we might write a song the next week, and I don't know, man. You're right. Every day is like you just never know what you're going to get. You really don't. And I think that goes for everything. Yes, what I do is very life and death in your face, and that's why I say I want to sort of shock people back into the living before they get cancer. I don't want you to have to get cancer to sort of wake up and smell the green tea. Yeah. I want you to, you know, to realize that, you know, it's all very fragile, you know, and we can be anti-fragile too, as Nassim tells us to be. But that's a whole other conversation. But I think just to help people say, look, you can get healthy now.
Yeah.
You can get healthy now, so you don't have to come and see me. I don't want to see you, you know? I want you to get healthy. I want you to prevent ever having to come to see me. And so I think that's what a lot of the extracurricular stuff I do is about, just sort of helping people, smell the green tea, wake up a little, and get off your phone and connect with that person right in front of you.
Yeah.
With a little love,
Yeah.
and it's hard. It's the hardest thing in the world to remain present.
Mm-hmm.
It's what the great Zen masters are always trying to tell us. Be here now.
Yeah.
Ram Dass.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
It is hard. That is the duality of life, my friend. We're already so deep. I guess that's what happens when you start with people dying, I guess. But
I know. But oncology is about living, man. It's about living.
Yeah.
People say, isn't it so depressing what you do? How do you do it? It's so depressing. I say oncology is not about dying. It's about living. Mm-hmm. It's about living whatever time, God, whatever you want to call it, your higher power, whatever you have left, just embracing it, giving it a hug, and just showing some love and choosing a little bit more love over fear.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Here's the equation. Love's up here, fear's down here. If we could just nudge you a little bit up here, mm-hmm. for the time we got left. Yeah. That's something, man.
That's something.
And that's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And you're doing it you're just doing an amazing job getting the word out to that it doesn't have to be so difficult.
Yeah.
That's what I love about your system. Thanks, it's really straightforward and simple, and that's why I happen to be a fan, and I turn people to your stuff because I just love what you're about and what you do, and the music too. The fact that you embrace music as part of your life is a big deal for me, and because that a song, a 2-minute little ditty, can change a life.
One of the things I love about this, Stephen, is that you really focus on the whole human being. And that's what I try to do with this show and all the work that I do is treatment doesn't come from or preventing illness doesn't come from dehumanizing the way that you eat or dehumanizing the way that you train, putting yourself on that little hamster wheel or, nibbling low quality food, low calorie food out of little microwavable containers. That's not the answer. It's as odd as it sounds, I think singing with your patients. It's painting a picture, taking a walk in nature. Yes. All of those things combined will make it a lot easier to eat those fresh veggies that you might decide to grow behind your house 20 years from now or something like that. It's like all these things are connected, and I think one of the biggest problems in our society is like you don't know anything about cancer or how to prevent it aside from maybe not smoking until you get cancer, and then all of a sudden all these different things that you should have done
and everything on the internet that's trying to I love what you said, and I think the wild diet, I think writing a song with the patient is rehumanizing.
Right.
It's rehumanizing. You're putting that connection first, man, and you're just letting the world know that we're in this game. We're gonna play this game together.
Yeah.
And we're in this, man. We're gonna do what it takes, and we're gonna love each other during the process. Mm-hmm. I try to, I tell them I'm gonna talk to you like you're my little sister.
Yeah.
When I talk to my breast cancer patients, I'm gonna talk to you like you're my little sister, and your brother just happens to be an oncologist.
Yeah.
That's I don't want to come at you like I'm this big bad doctor. It's let's just talk like we're related. And we love each other.
Yeah.
And that's what I think that does get you back to nature mm-hmm. and eating real food and moving your body a little.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. What would you say are some things that people might not realize that they should be doing right now in order to make sure they don't wind up with cancer someday?
That's the billion-dollar question. Obviously, you've already touched on it. Do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Do whatever it takes to stop smoking.
Yeah.
And meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge proponent of meditation. I will sit, if I'm not writing a song with you, I'm sitting next to you doing a little mindfulness practice with you.
Wow, cool.
In the room.
Yeah.
Because that stress, 90% of doctor visits are stress related.
Right.
How many of your guests have already said that?
Yeah.
It's so true. And I think the number one thing we can do is meditate and move your body a little each day. And actually, cruciferous vegetables. I don't have to tell you this, man.
No, but tell them.
You are the fat burning man.
But you're an oncologist.
Broccoli.
Yeah.
Eat some broccoli. Work up a teeny little bit of sweat for like 10, 15 minutes, and meditate.
Yeah.
And meditate. If you do those three things, you are so far ahead of the world in cancer prevention.
Mm-hmm.
And just a little more broccoli. Here's the formula: a little more broccoli, a little less,
sugar, meat, smoking,
high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
A little more love, a little less fear,
mm-hmm.
a little more meditation, a little less Netflix.
Yeah.
It's like, nothing. You know what I mean? Just
yes, of course.
Just going inside, and it's gentle nudging.
Mm-hmm.
It's littlest teeny 1% shifts.
Yeah.
Because if you try and say, I am going to meditate an hour a day.
Yeah.
Every single day for the rest of my life. 2 days later, you're like, screw that.
Right. Yeah. That's also not really the meditative mindset that you need. You don't really do meditation. You undo it. Right. And one of the problems with our society today is that we're all wrapped up in stress that's unprecedented for our minds and the way that they're wired, where we come from. I mean, the idea that we're accessible every minute of the day. I don't have to tell you this, you're a doctor. But by all of this technology that at any moment could explode with the worst advice ever, that's really new. And the idea that we don't have a free moment, even to stand in line at a store anymore, let alone go fishing, we don't have that silence that would have been meditation, even if we didn't call it that in years gone by. What do you think it is about meditation in particular that helps so much? Is it engaging the parasympathetic? Is it just the idea that you're kind of getting out of your own head and getting away from some of those stressors so your body can relax? So what's doing the trick?
Yeah, it's absolutely your brain. It's the neurochemicals. It's been proven in functional MRIs and functional PETs that when you meditate, you are lighting up parts of your brain mm-hmm. that are not typically lit up. And I love the study where they scanned the brains of meditating monks, mm-hmm. and they had all these crazy, amazing lighting up areas, and those are neurochemicals. Those are helping you decrease cortisol, helping you with stress levels. You're getting parasympathetic. You're sleeping better. Mm-hmm. All of our friends are talking about sleep and how important it is, and that we got to get off these blue light machines.
Yeah.
But it's all connected otherwise, and it all starts up here. I really think the brain-heart connection, the brain-body connection, mind-body medicine. It's all connected, and I think it has to start up here.
Yeah.
It has to start up here. And so when you just lower the stress, lower the cortisol, lower those hormones, you're starting to get into the psychoneuroimmunology territory, mm-hmm. which is a field I've been very fascinated in. One of the first books I got when I went into oncology was the Psychoneuroimmunology of Cancer.
Wow.
And it was cool. It was just a book of all these cool studies about how our thoughts and our feelings affect our immune system, and how our immune system can be lowered by, our thoughts and our brains. And, mm-hmm. and how that could, lower your defenses.
Yeah.
And now we're discovering that immunotherapy is the latest craze in oncology.
Right.
We are treating patients with stage 4 melanoma with immunotherapy. We give them a dose of this medication. It primes their immune system, and now their immune system is stronger, and they can make these melanomas melt away in many cases. Stage 4.
Wow.
So it goes back to the immune system, which is your psychoneuroimmunology, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. And that's a little bit more love, a little bit less fear. Right. It's all connected. And I say that I have a little formula that I'm working on. Love over fear. Mm-hmm. And it's listen, observe, verbalize, and empathize instead of force, escape, attack, and react. So you listen instead of force.
Yep.
You observe your body rather than escape into addiction. You verbalize with your human beings in front of you rather than attacking. And you empathize with that person. You try to get into their shoes rather than just react to whatever they say. React.
Right.
So that's my little nudging. Listen instead of force. Mm-hmm. And so I say, try to get up at this side of the formula.
Yeah.
Am I listening? Am I observing what's going on in my body? Am I verbalizing from a place of love? And am I empathizing with that person standing in front of me?
Right.
If you can just sort of look at that each moment, hard thing to do. Yeah. But if you can sort of notice, it's the noticing, right? It's when you can sort of say, wait, am I thinking my mantra or am I thinking about tomorrow's meeting? Mm-hmm. It's that noticing, that moment to moment. So how do we get into that noticing? My noticing, am I on this side of the equation or that side? Mm-hmm. That's, I think, the key.
Yeah. And there are so many little changes like that you mentioned before, just to go back to what you said earlier about that, just breaking a little sweat and eating that broccoli. And those, those little minutes of the day that you take for meditation or a walk or getting nature or just de-stressing, that good sleep. This is all really boring, pretty simple stuff, but it could literally save your life. In fact, it will if you do it every day.
It will. And it will. That is for sure. And you got to make the time. You got to schedule it in. Mm-hmm. And you know what I heard? I've been a little fascinated with lately. You schedule it in like this. Skiing in the Alps when I'm 80. That's how you block the time.
Yeah.
You put your future self skiing in the Alps at 85.
Yeah.
And then you go, wait. All right, if that's my future self, I am going to eat that broccoli today. Because now you see what you're doing? You're scheduling your future self hiking in the Andes.
Right. Well,
hiking in the Andes at 75 could be how you block your time to go sweat for 7-minute workout. Right?
I hope it is. I really do, because that, you just hit on it. I don't remember where I read it, but it was in something, some psych study I read recently that points to that. The brain, when you have a goal, especially that sticks out like that, right? You're 75 years old and you're scaling mountains and you're going skiing. If it's memorable like that and it's meaningful to you, then all of a sudden you don't have to wonder whether or not you're going to work out in the morning, which workout you're going to do. Same thing with like drinking water, eating vegetables, things like that. Like one of the reasons Olympic athletes and celebrities can stay so lean is because that's the way they're thinking about it. They're like, if I want the gold medal, you bet I'm going to eat that broccoli. I'll eat horse crap if you tell me to, because I'm going to get up on that stage. I'm going to win that medal. And you can apply that to your own life. I love that. I love that. So you're definitely going to be skiing. We'll be skiing well into our 80s together. That's going to be our goal.
Yeah. And you start with that because what am I, 40? I just turned 46. So hiking the Andes at 76. So I got 30 years. Now that's my 30 years. But now I go, okay, what can I do this month
Mm-hmm.
to forward that possibility of hiking when I'm sick? Then what can I do this week?
Mm-hmm.
And what can I do this day? And then what can I do this moment?
Yeah.
So you have that 30-year goal, your 5-year goal, your 1 year, month, day, and then it comes down to this minute.
Yeah.
Am I going to notice what's on my plate?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I going to be a little more mindful this moment? So it does come down to each moment. And
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing. That's where that meditative mindfulness comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the hardest thing to do in the world.
Yeah, it is. But these tiny little habits, you can build them over time. I certainly have. And once you do, you build one, you see that you can do it. You see that it wasn't that hard. Even just waking up in the morning, drinking a glass of water, I think is a good example of that. It's not hard. You do it. The longer you do it, the easier it gets. And then it leads you to making that next great decision. Maybe you'll take the vitamins that you know you need with that glass of water. And then all of a sudden you break a sweat right after that. And that's how I've tried to really build my day and create those habits over the past few years, because I really do believe that's the trick. It's those tiny little things that you do every day.
I would pay good money just to like look at your schedule, just to see what you do minute by minute in one day. What you do when you wake up, what you do when you eat, what you ate that day. I just would just like to see that.
I'll make that a blog post. I will.
I would just like to see that, and then I would like to emulate it, because that, I'm in between bone marrows, but I'm trying to still eat healthy. I'm trying.
Yeah.
But you're right. The little teeny habits can build upon each other when you start something that you can achieve.
Yeah, they give you momentum. Those tiny little things, when you add them up, you roll them up in a ball that gets bigger and snowballs.
The flossing one tooth.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. That's one thing. I've never had trouble flossing. Is that a personality thing?
I think you're very focused on your white choppers, because they look like they're very good choppers. But I think flossing has been proven to extend your life by years.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, I think, just don't want. Yeah, I just think they need to start with one and say, "Look, I can do this."
Right. Well, I can say when you're physically exercising, that can be very powerful. Just doing one simple exercise that day. That's one thing that I'll do. A 7-minute workout, just push-ups, or even one set of something, kettlebells.
Is the push-up the one thing that you would do if you could have if you could only do one exercise for the rest of your life? What would it be?
It's a tie for sprinting and burpees.
Sprinting and burpees.
Yeah, it's a tie.
Got it.
Because each of those challenges your body to the utmost in various ways. It's a full body workout. You break a sweat. You get that hormonal response.
Yeah.
And that will allow you to hike a mountain well into your 80s. If you can run without injury or do burpees or something else, that's a whole body exercise.
You know what I'm going to do today because of you?
Yeah.
I'm going to schedule in my calendar skiing with Abel in our 80s.
Yes.
And that is going to be my reminder on my calendar to do burpees today.
Awesome. I'll only be in my 70s. So you'll have to do it in your 90s, I think, if I'm going to be in my 80s.
I will be 90. Where do you want to go? Vail? I don't know.
No, let's go somewhere abroad, I think. Let's make it crazy. If the world is around by then.
Yes. You never know.
You never know. But I do think because of you, in all sincerity, the world is getting better. The work that you're doing in your practice and with the people you care about so much is not only doing that work literally, but also you're showing so many other people that there is a better way to be a doctor with humanity and to really affect the world at large. So we're almost out of time. I can't believe it. But before we go, please tell folks where they can find you and what you're working on next.
Cool. So drsteven.com, drsteven with a V.com is the home of all things wacky oncologist. But no, I'm having a great time meeting incredible folks like you, man, and trying to forward a little creativity in the world of health and wellness and medicine and healthcare, because that's what I really think it comes down to, thinking outside of the box a little and using your creativity.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a song. It doesn't have to be, a poem. It could be anything, but we all have some creativity inside of us.
Yeah.
When you just embrace it. And that's a teeny thing too, right? Write a one-line poem. Make a little one-line, two-line drawing. Get back to that childhood wonder of that creativity.
Mm-hmm.
I think wonder is very wonder and creativity, those two things, those could heal your life.
Yeah.
I wonder how I could get a little more healthy. I'm going to get creative about it. I'm going to floss one tooth. I'm going to eat a piece of broccoli. I'm going to listen to Fat Burning Man. I'm going to, just make a little shift. And that's about getting creative and getting in the space of wonder.
Mm-hmm. And when you are creative, it brings you to that place of wonder. I find, especially with people, I used to teach a lot of music and did some as community service too. And when you find that people create something for the first time, when they play that chord, or they sing a song, or they draw that picture, they're amazed. They're in wonder at what they themselves just did. And I think that's something that, while it might not seem like it's related to your health, it 110% is.
It is. I've seen it. I've seen it. When that patient helps me and we co-write the song together, and then we unleash it to the world, we unveil it to the world, we go to their house and do a little celebration of life, and everyone hears it and they hear it back. I'm telling you, man, some chemicals are firing in the brain.
Yeah.
When they hear when they hear their life in those 2-minute little words, in those lyrical life, whatever, something shifts, something goes off in the brain, and I know it's healing them. I know it's helping them on their way to optimal health, man.
Ugh. Well, you are the best. We could talk all day. I'm sure we will very soon, but thank you so much for coming on the show, Dr. Stephen, and you're the best.
Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here, and love the show, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week, my friend.
Thanks, man, and good luck in the bone marrow.
Yes, thanks. That's coming up in a little.
Before you go, don't forget to grab your listener discount on our 30-day fat loss plan. In this plan, we share 30 days of mouth-watering wild diet meal plans that are designed to help you drop fat with real food. The meal plans are paleo-friendly, easy to make, and literally the meals that my wife Allison and I eat just about every day and night to stay lean, fit, and happy. In the program, you'll get the most effective method of meal and nutrient timing to best stimulate fat loss and muscle recovery, the truth about how much protein you really need for your body type, 30 days of specific, healthy, fat-burning meal plans as a done-for-you nutrition strategy, and tons more. If you check it out today, you'll even get a listener discount. All you have to do is type in fatburningman.com/30 days. That's the number 30, DAYS. Once again, that's fatburningman.com/30 days. I'll see you there. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Fat Burning Man. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, the podcast app, or wherever else you might be listening to or watching this show. Got a second? Please leave me a quick review on iTunes. I always love hearing from you, and if you think someone else might like and benefit from this free show, please take a second to share it with a friend or with a family member. You can get in touch with me on Twitter at FatBurnMan and Facebook by typing in Abel James or Fat Burning Man. Drop me a line anytime. Did you know that I've recorded over 150 episodes of Fat Burning Man, winning 4 awards in independent media and hitting number 1 in more than 8 countries? And here's some more good news. You can download and listen to every single episode for free. All you have to do is type in fatburningman.com. I'll give you a second to type it in, fatburningman.com, and you'll get all the show notes in video and audio versions for all the past episodes of Fat Burning Man. Better yet, enter your best email at fatburningman.com, sign up for my newsletter, and I'll even send you a quick start guide to start burning fat right now and a few of our ridiculously tasty recipes as a special thanks for signing up. Once again, just go to fatburningman.com right now, enter your best email to get your free fat burning download straight to your inbox, and make sure that you never miss a show again. This is Abel James signing off. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great week.
Because that's a great question, an amazing insight regarding nature. So Karen and I have deciphered that we have these polarizing voices inside of us. We call them free nature and down nature. Down nature is very unhealthy ego. It's the cynicism.